Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. I never thought I'd ever say that. It took me basically an hour to find a good location and set it all up so that it doesn't look terrible and to muster the courage to speak in front of a camera. But this is gonna be hopefully one of many series to come. This is my gap year series. To give a little background about myself, I graduated from high school this year and I already applied to colleges and I got into my university. However, I decided to take a gap year this year. So 2021 to 2022 is going to be my gap year before I start university next fall. So today I thought I'd share with you guys like my thought process and how I ended up making this decision to take a gap year, and maybe a little bit of advice for people who might be thinking about a gap year or just like trying to make a big life decision in general, and kind of like my experiences around that, really life altering decision that I've had to make these past few months. So, this is how I decided to take a gap year. To say that I never thought of a gap year would be a total lie. A gap year, a travel gap year, being able to like take a year off for yourself and see the world and do whatever I wanted to do, whatever that means. That was always a fantasy that I had, but it was never really more than that. It was really just a fantasy because going to university straight after high school is like the total norm. Like, the concept of taking a break is so like out of the ordinary that I thought that I'd have to have a really good reason or a really strong like will to say no, I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing because this. And I didn't have that. And so the first time that I really considered a gap year as my own reality was fall of 2020 when universities switched completely online. And I had looked forward to university too much at that point to be willing to sacrifice that social life that I associate so much with university. And plus, I didn't despise online. Like, I could see some positives. Like, I had a lot more free time doing online than I would have if I'd been going to school. However, hey guys, this is editing me coming in because as I was looking through this clip, I realized that I hated it. So here we go. I did not want to do online learning because I felt that it hindered my productivity, my motivation, and my mood. See, I like learning through discussion and through exchanging ideas, and neither were really prominent with online learning, at least in my school. So there was that. The other thing is that I associate different activities and like different times of days with my physical setting. And being at home all day when home is too much of this like do nothing kind of place for me was very unmotivating. So being able to be back on campus was definitely a priority for me, and I wanted to make sure that that was going to be possible when I go to university. And back to me. And so that was the first time that I thought, hey, maybe. But the bottom line was I was really excited for university, and as I already said, I was really looking forward to having that university life. And plus, I graduated high school in March, and I'm going into Canadian university, which starts in the fall. So I already knew that I had like five-ish months. Is that right? March, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, like I'd have basically 6 months to do like anything I would have wanted to. Like basically what that meant was I wasn't so fussed about taking a whole other year, because that essentially means that I would have a gap year and a half. And I figured that as long as I had those like 6 months, I'd be able to do anything that I would want to do. And so in my mind, I was like I would probably have to take a gap year because I don't want to start online, blah, 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 blah. And so that was me, basically till the end of high school. Fast forward to June when I finally decided on a school to go to. Yay me! I finally decided, and that like excitement of having like a clear destination in mind just like got me on a real high. I was like, adrenaline, yay. That was me at the beginning of June. That was about the time when like universities were contacting me saying that they were planning to reopen like as much as possible from the fall. And so that was when I realized that one, wow, university is something that I've always dreamed of, and now it's so close if I wanted it to be. And two, I might be able to get more of that university experience that I'd so dreamed of. And so it seemed like if I wanted to go, I could go. But I knew myself enough that I was, operating on that adrenaline high. So I gave myself I told myself I'd wait, like 5 days, like a week or something, just to see how I feel after that initial excitement settles down. And then I overthinked it for a whole month. So basically, here's a rundown of what was going through my overthinking ass brain. My heart said, hey, I really want to go. And if I chose not to go, it felt like I was pushing my dream away willingly, because like university being so far away was my default for so long that it was kind of scary to think that I was actually going, that I was actually leaving home, that I was actually going to start my university career. As exciting as it was, I was kind of scared for that to be reality in a way. And so it felt like I was pushing it away out of fear. Plus, I would be rushing into university this year because I'd spent, like the last almost a year thinking I probably won't go. And so I had kind of like planned what I might do this year and whatever and whatnot. And those are all things that I can only do in a gap year this year at 18. A gap year at 18 is such a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, there aren't a lot of opportunities in life where you can just say, hey, I'm just gonna take a whole year off for myself. And it's rarer still to have that opportunities at such a young age. And so it felt like I would be turning down such a unique opportunity for something that will virtually be the same whether I go this year or next year. And so I had it in my head that a gap year is something that should be good for me. Like, the university experience isn't gonna change whether I go at 18 or at 19. It was just a matter of, am I willing to wait the extra year? The time came where if I didn't make my decision, it would simply be too late to even go. And that was a really panicky time for me. So I remember one night I decided not to go. That's what I said. But I literally said that as I was bawling, because I was kind of like mourning the idea of university. And I woke up the next morning hoping that I would feel a little bit happier about my decision, but it just really didn't sit right for me. and I had a talk with my dad. We had a really nice walk. After living that day, I decided that no, you know what, like, it's time for me to go. And I was like kind of scared, excited at that point. And then the next day came around, and as I was listing out what exactly I need to do in the time between now and going. That was the first time it kind of hit me that I'd be leaving home, I'd be like kind of giving up on all the things that I meant to do this year. And my mom was also being really panicky about it, and that didn't help because I hated the feeling of doing something when my parent or parents weren't completely on board. And so that night, I decided not to go and to take a gap year. To be completely honest, if someone asked me, like, why? What was my actual reason for taking a gap year? I don't know what I would tell you, because it would have been a lot of work. Maybe not completely worth it, but it was possible. And so it just feels a little bit like I did it out of fear. But the thing is, I'm just glad that I made a decision, because now I can focus all of my energy on planning this year to be amazing. For the longest time, I had to, think about this scenario and that scenario, and what if I went to school? What if I went to school this year? But what if I didn't? What would my life look like in each of these scenarios? And that was really exhausting, and it didn't really go anywhere because everything was so hypothetical. But now, I know that this is going to be my reality for a year, and so now I can actually start planning, or, not planning, and see how the year goes. And that's exciting. And so, how do I feel about my decision? Do I regret it? Am I glad that I ultimately decided on a gap year? And I can't say that I don't look back still and wonder why I ended up not going. But if I had to say right now, I don't think that I can say I regret it, because in hindsight, I can see how going this year would have been unnecessarily challenging. I think the beauty of a gap year is that you have so much time to yourself. I have so much power over my time. Of course, I can't do anything I want to do, but it's all up to me to make it amazing. And also, I could picture myself, I knew myself enough to know that I would always wonder what I would have done if I had a whole year to myself at 18, if I didn't take a gap year. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited for what this year will look like for me, and, what I'll make out of it. And on that note, I just want to share with you, two things that I kind of learned through this whole process, because, when you're faced with two big life decisions consecutively, you kind of pick up a couple things along the way. And I wish I could take credit for these, but these are both things that, people around me were giving me advice about, and I took it in as knowledge. But having lived through these processes, I can actually tell you with experience and with confidence that these things are true. The first thing is that if you're in a situation where you have to pick between, two or more options, and you're struggling to make a decision, chances are that you're not gonna have that one perfect fit for you that ticks all of your boxes, that you instinctively know that that's the one for you. Because if you're struggling to make a decision, that's probably because you see pros and cons for each of these options. But something that I learned through this whole process is that once you make a decision, as hard as that may be, like after that point, you have all the power in you to make that, I won't say the best choice for you, but a good choice for you and a good experience for yourself. You can wonder all you want about, the what if I chose this one or that one. But like none of that will matter, because once you choose, that means that now you can exert all of your energy into making that into, maybe researching about the one that you chose, or, planning for whatever you decided to do, and so on. And all that time that you spend wallowing about what could have been or what could be and all that is time that you could be spending doing, more fun things or doing something that will actually help you. And so that's what I learned. I do wonder what it could have been like, what I would have been doing if I had chosen to go to university this year. And I'm honestly really scared for fall to come around, because I know that as all of my friends embark on their journey, I'll kind of like wish I was experiencing whatever they're experiencing. But when I catch myself thinking about that, I try to switch out of it, because that's such a sad way to be spending such an amazing time. Like if you really try and switch your mindset from, oh, what could have been if I had chosen this or that, and instead focus on what can I make out of my situation, that's such a better way and such a productive and healthy way to look at everything. And so that's my first piece of advice to you. The second thing is that I'm really disappointed at myself for not having a really clear ultimate deciding factor for, making my decision. I'm not mad at the outcome, but I'm just mad at myself for not having that first, like, yes, this is what I'm gonna do. I just feel like so much of my decision was kind of dictated by external circumstances, like how I was running out of time. And so my advice to you is, if you decide on something, really choose it. And the reason why you choose something can be as specific as, I want to do A, B, and C, or I'm working towards this goal, and so therefore this is the right path for me. Or it can be as superficial as, it just felt right for me. But once you let circumstances or other people in your life, or like something other than your own will decide, you just like lose so much control over your own life. And if something is not going well or as you had hoped, you have nothing you can reassure yourself with, because all you have in your brain is blame for something else or somebody else. When something doesn't go right, as long as you have a good, not even a good reason, a reason that you feel good about, knowing your initial reasoning behind why you did something, and knowing that you did it and you chose it because you were thinking about what you thought would be best for yourself at a time when you had no idea what could happen, is so reassuring. And so I hope this was helpful in any way. I hope that maybe if you're wondering about whether or not to do a gap year, or if you're in the middle of making a really big decision, or I don't know, you just wanted to sit with me and a cat pillow on the floor, chill. I hope this video is helpful. And so this video marks the beginning of my gap year 2021 to 2022. I really hope that some of you guys will be able to come and join me in this journey, because in the wise words of a brilliant character played by Neil Patrick Harris. This year is going to be legend. Wait for it.